Hey, welcome back to the Wise Mindset Guy podcast, the podcast where we take big, brainy ideas and make them as easy to digest as a bag of popcorn at the movies. I'm your host, Nat Plastino, and today we're talking about something that has puzzled philosophers, mathematicians, and probably even your pet cat if they think deeply enough. It's called Zeno's paradox, and it's all about the idea that if you keep moving halfway towards something, you'll never actually get there. Sounds weird, right? Like, try picturing this. You're standing on one side of the room and you want to walk over to the other side. Maybe because there's cake. Let's be real, cake is the ultimate motivator. But before you get to the cake, you have to go halfway there and then halfway again. So each step is halfway, and then halfway again and again and again. And theoretically, if you keep going only halfway each time, each step, you'll never reach the cake ever. Now, I don't know about you, but if this were real life, I would personally break the rules of philosophy, sprint the last few inches, and take that cake. But according to Zeno, in a mathematical sense, of course, you'd be stuck moving in an infinite loop of getting closer and closer without ever actually arriving. Is your mind blown yet? So today we're going to break this down. What does this paradox really mean? What's the math behind it? And most importantly, how does it relate to our lives? Because let's be honest, sometimes it feels like we're constantly making progress, but never actually arriving where we want to be. Sound familiar? Then stick with me and let's unravel this puzzle together. So who was this Zeno guy anyway? So before we dive into deep, let's talk about the man behind the madness. Who was that? Who was Zeno? Zeno of Elea was an ancient Greek philosopher who lived about 2,500 years ago, roughly. He had a thing for paradoxes, those little brain teasers that make you question everything you thought you understood about the world. And Zeno's whole deal was trying to prove that movement itself might be an illusion. Yeah, I know. Tell that to my legs after a long workout, Zeno. But he came up with a bunch of paradoxes. And one we're talking about today, the one about never quite reaching the other side of the room, is one of his most famous. It's often called the dichotomy paradox, which is a fancy word of saying the cutting in half problem. Basically, it says that if you always have to go halfway before getting somewhere, you'll be dividing the distance forever. And that means you'll never arrive. Mathematically, it's like a infinite series. You move half the way, and then half the quarter, and 1/8, 1/6, 1/32, and it just keeps going. And the weird part is, while it seems like you'll never reach your goal, in reality, you do. You know that in real life, people walk across rooms all the time without getting trapped in some endless mathematical nightmare. So what gives? Well, let's break it down. The math that saves us from eternal stuckness is more like it. The good news is mathematicians figured out a way to rescue us from this paradox, so we don't have to live in fear of never reaching our cake. Here's the deal. While the sequence of distances technically goes on forever, the total sum of all those halves actually converges to a finite number. Imagine you take 1 and divide it into pieces. Half, a quarter, 1/8, 1/16, 1/32, and so on. It looks like it should be growing forever, but mathematically it gets closer and closer to 1 until it essentially equals 1, meaning, you guessed it, you do reach the other side of the room eventually. So while it feels like Zeno is playing a trick on us, math says, nah, you're good. And that's a relief. Otherwise, marathon runners would still be at the starting line wondering why their first step never actually got them anywhere. But here's the interesting part. While math saves us from actually being stuck, the idea of Zeno's paradox can feel a lot like real life sometimes. How this relates to everyday life, of course. Okay, so we cracked the math, but why does this matter? Well, think about it. Have you ever had a goal that felt like no matter how much progress you made, you were never quite there? I used to feel the same way when I would have this my blog, my podcast. You don't think it ever go anywhere, but incrementally it gets better and better. It just takes time. Now maybe you're working toward a big dream, like writing a book, getting a degree, building a business, and each step feels like you're only halfway there. You keep learning, growing, and improving, but there's always one more thing to do before you feel like you've arrived. Or maybe it's like personal growth. You want to be more patient, more confident, more skilled. You work on it, you make progress, but every time you reach a milestone, it feels like there's still more to go. It's Zeno's paradox in action. Always moving forward, but never feeling like you're done. But here's the thing. Just like in the math problem, even if progress feels infinite, you are moving forward. Every step, no matter how small, adds up, and eventually you get there, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. It's easy to get discouraged when the finish line keeps shifting. But the truth is, the process itself is part of the journey. If you keep going, you will reach the version of the cake. And hey, even if you don't, at least you had a fun time getting there. Now, let's wrap this up. So, what have we learned today? Zeno was a Greek philosopher who really liked messing with our brains. His paradox makes it seem like we should never be able to cross a room, but thankfully, mathematics proves that we totally can. Life sometimes feels like Zeno's paradox, like we're always getting closer to our goals, but never quite reaching them. But the truth is, every little step adds up, and eventually we do get there. So next time you feel like you're just inching forward, remember, progress is progress. No matter how small the steps, you're still moving forward. And eventually, you'll be right where you need to be. And maybe, just maybe, you'll finally get that cake. All right, folks. That's it today for today's episode of the Wise Mindset podcast. If you enjoyed this and want more brain twisting fun, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend who might need a reminder that they are making progress. And even if it's one half of the step at a time. Until next time, keep thinking, keep moving, and keep chasing that cake. See you soon.